Um, so I know that Max sent us, I think she sent it to all of us, the updated meeting minutes. If you had a chance to check that out. Max, can you tell us specifically what those edits were? Do you remember, or?
Yeah, so I've gone back and re-uploaded that document after Amanda made her edits as well. The changes that I made included the participants in each subcommittee meeting, and it also included the time frames for each of those subcommittee meetings.
Thank you very much for doing that. I know that
and there was corrected the date too. I believe it said that meeting was March 24th, and so I corrected it to May.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, great. I know that those are basically like 4 meetings in one, so thanks for doing that. Wonderful. Well,
may I ask, Max, what, when you said time frame, I did take a look at it, but I don't know if I caught it between Amanda and you. But what does the time frame refer to?
The time frame that each subcommittee met. So you guys.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, the 45-minute segment.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So take a moment to look ahead. So thank you, and take a moment to look those over. Can we even approve those minutes if we don't have a quorum?
That is a good question. I guess.
I think Max shaking her head. No.
We have to defer the approval of those probably until next month.
Well, take a look at them anyway, and thank you, Max, for the update.
Hold on for a second. Let me just verify. Sorry. I want to make sure you have more than half.
We don't, I don't think.
So you have 11 members total, and 6 are here.
Oh, well, that means we do.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Great.
All right. All right. So take a look at those minutes and double check, see if anything is out of sorts or if everything looks okay to you.
So while people are looking, Kate, I think I suggest that that we have 2 separate motions, one to approve the full committee minutes and then one to approve the subcommittee minutes.
Sounds
in
good.
case there are things that need to be changed on either document.
It's a good plan. So we can look at the meeting minutes from last, the whole group first. So since that's listed first in the PDF that Max sent. So take a look at last month's minutes for the whole group. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 18th. That was the whole group session.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
So it's probably going to be important to hear Dave.
Oh, Dave. Uh-oh.
Dave, are you there?
Sorry, I am here. I approve.
Thank you. All right, cool. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Dave. All right, let's take a look at the subcommittee meeting minutes. That was from May 24th.
I have one minor correction to the education committee minutes. It's just correcting it's in goal number 3. National Sister Cities Organization needs to be changed to International Sister Cities International.
Okay.
I'd be happy to make that change on the document in the shared drive.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And yeah, that makes sense. All right. From what I see in the meetings I was in, it looks good to me. So I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 24th, the subcommittee meeting. What was that, Dave?
I approve.
Do we have a second? Is Dave seconding?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Fabulous. All right. Cool. With the intent of making that one correction with Sister
With the
City.
minor correction, yes.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to business. Let's take a look here. So we can do some city rep updates. I know Nana's not here right now, but Dave, do you have any updates for us about Winneba?
Well, I guess the main update is we had a very successful Sister City visit, the 17th of May through the 28th of May. And we had a group of 8 people from Charlottesville that made the trek over to Winneba and had a wonderful time visiting our friends there. And many highlights, one of which was we were invited to participate in the 25th anniversary of the installment of the king of the Futu region, which includes Winneba. So he had a Silver Jubilee celebration, and we were his invited guests, and it was just a delightful time to be in Winneba and celebrate with them and with him. And I want to thank Mayor Walker and Akina and others for helping we had a beautiful plaque that was presented to the king and a proclamation honoring him on his 25 years of his service to his community. So, but in general, it was a very positive trip, and we're already starting to lay the groundwork for our next group visit at the end of December. So, also while we're there, just had a chance to check in on some of our ongoing projects, and everything's going well there. So, and we did have 2 grant-funded Sister City Commission grant-funded projects that kicked off while we were there, and both of those went splendidly. And so I know that the grant recipients will be reporting back on their experiences to the commission in due time. So happy to answer any questions, or I can just leave it there.
Thank you so much, Dave. That all sounds awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Dave about any of those really cool things?
Yeah, Dave, I saw something on the TV news maybe a month or maybe 2 ago regarding Winneba and a grant project. And it occurred to me that it's probably before my time, just the year before.
Right.
Because I didn't recognize it. And so are those the 2 you're talking about kicking off while you were there, the older one and then the new one that we just awarded this past spring?
Exactly. So there was one to Myra Anderson that was awarded last year, and but unfortunately because of COVID, she wasn't able to travel. We didn't have any trips to Winneba last year. So she ended up going with us in May and was able to do her poetry project and had a wonderful time doing a poetry workshop with some young people in Winneba. And I know she's preparing a video on that she wants to share with the commission at some point. And then Libby Edwards Albaugh got a grant this year from the commission to do a Pen Pals project between some young women in Charlottesville and some young women in Winneba, and also had a wonderful kickoff for that project while we were there. So you'll be hearing more from both Libby and from Myra, and I think they're both very pleased with how everything went. So
I know just a word about, I know the grants subcommittee talked about having a liaison person, and I don't know if you might be sort of informally that person at the moment, Dave, but we've been kind of dry with some visuals to put on our social media to promote things. And we just got a nice collection of photos from one of the current grant winners of the Mountainside Arts Project. But if you could, if you had any pull there to get some visuals on, the most basic stuff that we could, just post something, that would be great.
sure, no problem. I can certainly get that.
Point. It'd be awesome to have some visuals for that too. That is great. Amanda.
Yes, thanks, Dave, for that update, and congrats on the successful trip. Just wanted to also clarify, there was not a visit from or a representative from the fire department on this last trip, correct?
That's
I'd
correct.
understood.
Okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry.
Excuse me.
They're planning to go later this year, and I met Nana Garti and I met with the new fire chief about a month before we left for Winneba, and he's very excited about continuing that project. There was some turnover in the fire department leadership since that grant was originally awarded, but he's very excited about it, and actually has taken the initiative to sort of build on it internally. And so there's some really neat things happening there, and they're planning to send their representatives over later this year to continue the work that they started last year. So.
Great.
I have a question too. Can you hear me,
Mhm.
David? Smiling.
Yeah.
The visit that's being planned for the end of December, is that another delegation to travel from Charlottesville to Winneba, or is that a delegation from Winneba to Charlottesville?
That's from Charlottesville to Winneba. We are still hoping that Winneba will be sending a delegation here at some point. Unfortunately, they had planned to do so last year, but had to cancel because of COVID. We're all sort of waiting to see so every 4 years there's a turnover in municipal leadership in local governments in Ghana, and we're expecting to hear any day now, literally, if the current mayor of Winneba, they call him the municipal chief executive, but the current mayor of Winneba is going to be reappointed or not. So everything's sort of on hold until he knows if he's going to be the mayor still, and if not, we'll have to meet with the new mayor and just hopefully continue the planning for a delegation to come here from Winneba.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on that front? Thanks for that awesome update, Dave. That is all really
you.
great stuff going on. And we can't wait to see photos because I don't know, it's great to see members of the community taking part in these really cool connections and stuff. So thank you. Let's see. Up next, we've got Bass Ensemble. So Elizabeth.
Sure. Okay. So things are actually starting to percolate again, which is good news. Since our last meeting, I have met with Paul Lopapa, who had reached out to us to begin planning for a student exchange focused on sports and athletics between high school students in Besançon at the school where he teaches and high school students here in Charlottesville. So he has sent an official proposal. We've identified together some of the teachers and administrators in local schools who worked with him before in 2013 when he came, and who may also be interested in getting involved in this kind of project. And so we're reaching out to those. I'm reaching out to those on my end. And when we've established that they'd like to be interested and involved in the project, then I'll connect those folks to him so that they can do the planning. The current timeline is to, if this works out, is to have a small delegation of teachers from his school come to Charlottesville in October to meet with teachers that want to be involved in the project here. And then for a delegation of teachers from our schools to go over to Besançon in the spring, probably during our spring break, to have a little visit. So, and to meet the students and learn about, meet their, their homologues over there, meet teachers over there, with the goal to bring a student delegation from Besançon to Charlottesville in the fall of 2022. So that's going to be kind of fun, and I think there'll be a lot of enthusiasm for it, and we'll see where it goes. I'll keep you posted. Also, I did follow up on the Youth for Understanding request that came through the Sister Cities organization and was passed along to me. And I have spoken to their placement coordinator, and they are in particular looking for French host families because there was an upsurge in French applicants. These are students, high school level students in other countries who want to come to the United States and live with host families and matriculate as students in our high school for a full academic year. And I have passed that request along to the director of the Alliance Française in Charlottesville so that she can tap the membership. That would be a logical place to find Francophone host families. And I'm waiting to hear back from her about that. None of the students that are applying to come over are coming from in or near or anywhere close to our sister city, which is a shame, but nevertheless, I think there'll probably be a couple of families in Charlottesville who might be interested in participating. I have not yet heard anything in terms of the judging for the Young Artist and Authors Showcase. We did have 3 Charlottesville High School students submit works. The judging is to take place sometime this month, and then we'll be notified if any of our students' pieces of work were selected. I may be able to tell you about that at the next meeting. And then I'm just continuing with sort of steadily making progress and connecting to all of the contacts in Charlottesville who are involved in student exchanges with Besançon to find out what the timetables are for trying to get kids back over there or to receive kids. In most cases, schools are looking at 2022, so not this fall. And last but not least, I do have something else to tell you. Well, I can't remember what it is, so I'll stop there. Any questions?
Well, sounds great. I wish one of those exchanges for that, the student exchange one you were talking about with exchange students staying for the year would be kids from our sister city, but
That wouldn't that have been nice?
that would have been so great.
That would've been
but I
perfect.
understand. Yeah, those are all great. I'm excited to hear more about, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of things are like, I don't know, really starting up now, which is cool. I feel like up until recently, everything has just been kind of in this like perpetual state of pause. So
Yeah,
it's good to
I
hear
agree.
that.
My thinking is that if we do get this exchange, this sort of sports exchange idea off the ground, and we do send a delegation of teachers over next spring, that would be the logical time for me to go, since everybody's new.
That's great.
So that would be the first time that actually we've had our sister city representative go to Besançon in 3 years.
3 years?
By that time, it will be almost 3 years. Mhm.
That's about
We're
time.
overdue.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks, Elizabeth. Any questions for Elizabeth about any of those things that she mentioned?
Just a comment about the number of different projects and the variety and the action on all of them. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's good to finally be doing some stuff, you know?
It's been difficult. So you're chugging right along. That's awesome. Super excited about all that stuff. Stella, any updates on Poggio?
Yeah, so I met with Giacomo, which is the vice mayor, a couple of times. And basically what he told me, you remember that we were talking about the possibility of putting also on our socials some major updates from if they have some kind of project. So we talked about that too. So they have this giant project of completely redoing the main square, which is something that if we want, we can put in our Facebook page or whatever. Other things, they finished realizing, they finished doing a documentary about Filippo Mazzei, you know, the guy that came from Poggio to Charlottesville, in Italian with titles in English, and he wants to give me the DVD. He didn't bring it the other time, so I have to meet him again, probably this Saturday. And so one thing that we could do also, I don't know, we can think about it, is to maybe to organize some kind of screenings of that. I didn't see it yet. You just have to give me some DVDs also for the members of the committee, which I may be able to, I mean, I will have to bring to Charlottesville. And he wanted also he said something about, we were talking about it for a while, to do something with the schools, right? There isn't a high school in Poggio. There is only elementary and middle schools. And he had some kind of ideas of doing some kind of blog, but he was doubting for some reason that the teachers at the school will be willing to actively participating. It was like, I feel like if it's something that we organize, then they will do it. But if it's something that the school have to do and they have to actively do it, he was doubting that they will do it. So I may have to ask some clarifications about that. Yeah, the problem is not really a problem. It's just that the kids are kind of young, so we need to think about something that they can do. They don't, I mean, they study English, but of course their English is kind of very elementary since it's elementary and middle school. So, and there was something else. Oh yes, I have to meet, I have to take an appointment, but in Poggio there is also another association that it's kind of related to the local government, but they work on their own also. And it's called Loco, is the one that organizes, all the kind of events. Basically, every city has one in Italy, usually. It's some kind of private associations made by volunteers that usually organize events, cultural events and parties or anything like this in order to promote the cities, okay, to keep the cities active. So I met some of them just almost by accident, and we said that we are going to organize a meeting because they said that they have some ideas. They wanted to try to see if it's possible to do again another exchange like they did in the past with, that when there was the anniversary of the sister city thing, they did the visit in Charlottesville and the visit in Poggio. So they said something like this, but we didn't really talk because it wasn't an appointment that we set up, so they didn't really have time. So I'll have to meet with them next week and see what they want. It's not really a problem, but again, it's like one thing is the government, one thing is this association. So when we have to plan something important, they necessarily have to work together.
Mhm.
This is something that we will have to see how it, I mean, usually that they don't have any problems, you know, it's not, but so, so I want to talk with both of them and see if we can go back together also in another meeting, maybe with both the mayor and both this association, and see if we can find something to work, I mean, to work together, because in the end, that's what it is.
Gotcha.
Stella, are you reporting from Poggio right now? Are you
Yes,
still-
I am here now, and they are also helping me to organize. I mean, we are doing with UVA the J term next January, which usually we get Poggio's help, because they help us booking the rooms for class, for the classes, so that it can be free, and we do some lessons in Poggio too. So we are also talking, I mean, it's not related strictly to us, it's more something of UVA, but also this kind of relationship. So yes, I'm going to be in Poggio, I think until August 20 or something like that. My visa got approved today, so,
Okay.
so I have to see, yeah.
Gotcha.
Stella, I have a question about the movie. It seems that seems really exciting, and is that something that could be? I was thinking of two different things. One, an actual outdoor viewing, a screening outside in the summer. So it's such a magical thing in Italy, and people are sort of starting to do it here. But the other idea is to see it, screen it virtually. Like we wouldn't need the actual DVDs. Are those possibilities, especially the virtual thing that could be easily
Yeah, I
promoted?
think so. But we were talking, and even like some time ago, because they finished it some months ago, and I was like, okay, can you send me like the streaming details or whatever? And he was like, I will just send you the DVD. So I'm sure that it's possible, but I think it's something that we will have to do. So I don't think that they organized to have it in streaming, but I mean, they just did the DVD from what I understood. So, again, I can ask again if.
Well, even if one person has the DVD, it may be able to be screen shared on a Zoom that could become an event for the
Yes,
city.
I will bring some of them in Charlottesville. So yeah, that's something that we definitely can do. I haven't watched it yet, but they've been working on it for quite some time, so I'm sure it's good.
Stella, could you clarify for me who it is that's produced the documentary? I missed that part.
They did it, it was the local government, so the mayor and everybody else, with some public funding, I think, from the Toscan region.
Okay.
Because they allocate some funds for culture. Yeah, but of course they hired a director. I don't know the name, but yeah, it was produced by them.
Okay.
Maybe one thing while you're there, you can ask about things like, permissions and
Yes.
publicity, what would it take to get it to be screened here, either on Zoom or at the Paramount?
Okay,
Maybe
yeah.
the Paramount would be a really nice event.
Yes. I don't think it's a problem, because he gave me, I mean, he told me that he's going to give me the DVD just so that I can share it with people and, to the students. And so I'm sure that that's not going to be a problem. But of course, I don't know if we have to do something official. I don't know, some kind of official request. So yeah, okay, I can ask him that.
And you said it has either subtitles or dubbing, one or the other?
Definitely subtitles.
Yeah, because without the subtitles, without some English, it would be a lost cause here, unfortunately.
No, definitely subtitles. I don't know if they did actually the two versions, one in English with Italian subtitles and one in Italian with English subtitles. Definitely the Italian one with English subtitles. I don't know if they also did the other one. They wanted to, but I mean, in the end, it's always like, you know, you have to see what can you do with the money that you have. So
That sounds great. I'm excited to see it, and maybe we could screen it somewhere, either at the Paramount or with like a film festival or something locally
Yeah.
too. That'd be really awesome. Stella, any other questions for
Yeah.
Stella? All right, now I'll jump into Weiwei. I think Dave's been on some of these emails with, at the very least, Elias, with the Ishtatan Foundation. Let me just pull that up real quick, but a lot has happened in the past month. I'm happy to announce that we, since our last meeting, have received an official letter from the mayor of Weiwei, indicating that they accept our request to be a sister city. So that is wonderful. So that is very, very good news. So we have that. I've sent it along, and that is fabulous. So we have both mayors, or I guess our city manager, their mayor, are in agreement that this should happen. A few other things. There is a commission put together in Weiwei. Elias met with Mayor Cano and Vice Mayor Alita to make that commission. And they had a meeting of folks who wanted to be a part of the Weiwei Sister City Commission. So they'll have a few folks put together on the Weiwei side to sort of build up this friendship, partnership, and anything I get from Elias, I will pass along to you all so that those connections can be made. But it's really awesome. It sounds like there's a lot of forward progression on that front in Weiwei. So that is really great. Yeah, so things are going well there. And I know, Adrian, you saw what Rachel has been working on with the Love and Owego Foundation and Rachel McLaughlin at Mountainside Arts. That grant project was a very successful one. She worked with students in Charlottesville to create some really cool art, and there's going to be an art exchange of sorts and a showcase for students in Weiwei. So that was really cool. So that's been really awesome. Other than that, yeah, I think one question I do have about this, especially, I don't have a formal role as a Weiwei City rep, but we do need one. Max, do we have any updates on that particular topic as of now?
When I have been part of my camera on discussing that, and so what we can tell thus far from the ordinance is that you would get a seat for the sister city once the sister city relationship is established versus the friendship relationship. You know, I'm trying to draw the distinction there. And so I don't think you can quite have that rep yet. But so someone already on the commission may need to take on that role. I've mentioned a few times about Ms. Clark and whether or not she would be interested. But I'm not sure if that's going to be an option. And at some point we may need to even discuss membership because there are certain requirements as it pertains to attendance. But so that's what we're dealing with right now. Someone that's currently on the commission is going to have to take on that role.
How does
And-
the sister city, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, go ahead.
No, you started before me. Go ahead.
Max, you mentioned the sister city relationship has to be formally instituted, or whatever the term is.
Mhm.
How does that happen, or what are?
So there's kind of like a courtship period. Kate, you can help me with the details. And how long does that last?
about 3 years typically. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But around 3 years is usually the amount of time for that courtship period to solidify, both ends of it. So Wayway is now building their their commission for this partnership. Ideally, an exchange would happen during that time.
Mhm.
A visit from our commission to them and or vice versa. So it's about a 3-year period of time where you really get a sense of, is this something that's going to work? And so that is typically what happens. And if that seems to be the case after a period of time, and it seems very evident that this is going to be something that is a long-lasting relationship between the cities, then that is when more formal action would take place. And I know Dave has had experience with this with Winneba. Dave, is there anything else you'd like to mention about that from your standpoint? Because I know Winneba is a little bit of a different story.
Well, the one thing I'll say is that in order for this quote unquote courtship period to succeed, is you really need people putting in the work to nurture the relationship. And so having an official representative on the Sister City Commission that is dedicated to sort of leading that work, or at least helping to facilitate that work, would be critical. And so maybe council doesn't call it a sister city rep. Maybe there's a different term for it, but I do think it's important to have put the word out for applicants who would be interested in helping to nurture and develop that relationship as a member of the Sister City Commission.
So in a scenario like that, you guys would have to then place the request before council to create that seat.
And that would be not an official sister city rep, but it might be a friendship city rep. I mean, with there's precedent for doing it that way.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Already I've been in touch with one of our current grant recipients, Christina Ball, and they're going on their project and they need someone from the commission to be their point person for the Wayway part of their project. So I don't know that we can wait until we have an applicant in hand, but it does argue for someone on the commission taking up, at least temporarily, kind of the role of ushering, kind of representing, I guess, our new friendship city as a contact person and a mediator and a coordinator for at least 2 of the grant projects involve all 4 sister cities, if I'm remembering correctly. So it seems like we should certainly move right away if we can on requesting a seat for a friendship city rep. And in the meantime, maybe poll the commission and see if there's somebody who has enough of an interest that they're willing to sort of warm the seat, so to speak, and do the work to represent our friendship sister city until we've got an official person.
Sounds good. So the last thing I would add is just you would put your petition together and submit it to the city attorney's office. They'd review it and get it ready to go on the agenda, council's agenda.
That's good. And
I'm happy to write that up if nobody else wants to take that on. I'm happy to do that.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to lend a hand too. I know that both of us have done a lot with sort of getting the ball rolling with this Friendship City status. So I'm happy to help on that front and happy to talk to anyone and pass along the line of communications to our folks in Wayway, because that is really important to have. But they've been super helpful and I'm happy to assist in that front too. So yeah. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe hopefully next month there will be some more folks here and perhaps somebody who might be interested in taking that on as well. Sweet. Well, thank you.
So if that gets approved, if your request gets approved, then we would advertise the seat for a minimum of 30 days. And then council could appoint, well, I'll have to talk to Keena about that. We'll have to advertise it for a minimum of 30 days. And I'll speak with Keena about whether or not we can have a one-off appointment versus waiting until the next round of appointments, which is some months from now. And I'm sure you guys don't want to do that, so.
Ideally, no. And I know that I think applications just closed for the last.
It did, yeah. And Nana was the only one to apply, and he reapplied for his current seat, so no new applications.
It's a bummer. All right. Well, I know that there are some folks in the area who are interested in this partnership with Weiwei, folks who are not in the commission who would like have done work with Guatemala and Weiwei in the past, who would like to take part and are very knowledgeable about sort of that connection between our cities. So if this petition comes across, that'd be something to let them know about too, especially Erin, who's in our subcommittee meeting for education, and a friend of hers who lives in the city and has done some volunteer work on that front. That would be great. Thanks, Max, for all the info, and thank you, Dave, for jumping in on that petition. That is incredibly helpful. Anything else on Weiwei while we're on that topic?
Hey, just one quick question. Thank you for all your leadership on this relationship. And I just wanted to see if there's an update on the internet project too with Ixotan Foundation for the grant.
I have not heard on that one yet, but I'm happy to reach out to Elias. That was his. And he, I think, is in Weiwei. Dave, do you have any updates on that by any chance?
Only that I happened to run into Anson Parker the other day on the downtown mall, and he's been the point person on the internet project, and he seemed very excited about the progress they've made so far, and didn't go into a lot of detail, but just yeah, like I said, very enthusiastic about the work that's been happening to date.
Okay.
Great.
Well, thank you. That sounds good. And I think as Adrienne mentioned, we're I think wanting to just make sure we have a designated point of contact for all the grantees. And since you've been managing that relationship with the two for Weiwei, we'll want to think about a succession plan for you just to make sure we have some point of contact. So that's maybe a follow-up item for the grants committee.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you. All right, moving along to the next topic because we have 12 minutes left, but not that much more to cover, I think. Updates from subcommittee meetings. You saw the minutes that were posted. Thank you for joining in on the fun a couple weeks back on the subcommittee meeting. I guess we can just run through quickly any thoughts, concerns, questions we might have from that resulted from those meetings, from those 45-minute meetings last month. The grants committee, did y'all have anything to share from that session?
Thanks. I think the highlights of the session were covered in the notes that Max circulated. I think we're continuing to just follow up and track progress on the current and past year's grantees. I saw there was a finance question about, are we on track for those to be fully spent down this year? And I think the answer, as I'm understanding it, is still yes. So that's, though some of the final ones, such as the Winneba Fire Department visit, won't be till the latter part of the year. So some of the international travel has been delayed until the fall. And then I think our next order of business for the committee is to turn our attention to the back to the travel scholarships guidelines that we had started working on last year. And I think identified a few process improvements when we reflected back on our past grant cycle where there might be some additional information or FAQs provided, i.e. sort of distinguishing between what's a grant versus what's a sponsorship versus what's a scholarship, and those different types of offerings of the commission. So those were a few ideas that that Damon and I discussed in the subcommittee meeting, and we'll be following up on with the larger committee. Thanks. Adrian, did you want to say anything else about the community? I know you had highlighted the communications opportunity with the portraiture project with Wayway Mountainside.
No, just another call to the grant projects in particular, but really anything like, I think Stella, you caught my attention. Was it Stella? Oh yeah, when they're renovating the, well, I guess, was it the piazza or the square? Anything that can be posted, promoted. I think I'm forgetting something that I remember hearing about and thinking, oh, you know, that could be something we could promote, but we just need the visuals. We just need something to put up there. So I just repeat that. And then when I looked over the notes from the grant subcommittee and the outreach committee, I wasn't able to make either of those. But on the grants, I'm all behind continuing to refine our explanations, descriptions, requirements, et cetera. Because I think we've hit on a few things, partly connected to COVID, but partly that will always be true every year that we can get more specific about.
Great. Thanks. And related to that, Elizabeth, your work on the expenditure guidelines, when I was looking at that last month, it occurred to me too that we may want to review that through the grants lens a little more closely too, because I think we identified in the subcommittee meeting that it would be beneficial to provide a little more guidance to our grantees around expenditure guidelines. There's just like a one line in the application and, you know, to contact the clerk's office, but we might want to work with the clerk's office and you to just provide any additional information to our grantees and around, you know, at least include that in the guidelines and then transfer that into the application materials.
Sure.
Great. Adrian, was there anything else you wanted to mention about outreach and communications? I know you and Stella were in that meeting.
I think that Stella could speak to that because I was unable to make those meetings that day. So it was her and Michael.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we were just recapping what we should do with the website. And let me see. Yeah, we didn't really decided anything. We were just like, you know, okay, I mean, I remember that there was something to do with the websites, and we were talking about again to promote these anything from our sister cities. But yeah, I mean, nothing really new, let's say.
Got it. Let's see, with the education subcommittee, looks like I jumped in late. I was on the road at that point, but Elizabeth, you were in that meeting, correct? Anything you wanted to mention about that?
Let me look real quick. So yeah, we went over the goals that we had set in our first subcommittee meeting just to sort of determine where we thought we were with those. There's still a few things pending. Kate, maybe you will let us know before you get gone if you were able to identify someone who might take your place in terms of partnering around the space station project.
I think Damon is going to take on whatever I was doing from that.
Okay.
I forwarded him all of my stuff.
Okay, great. I'll make a note of that. And then Neely's not here, but Neely has a particular interest in continuing to try to generate some energy around some kind of an in-person event in the upcoming academic school year. that really is designed to include students who are historically underrepresented in our community. There was some, you can see from the minutes, there was some discussion about whether we could try to sort of maximize, limited resources and time and energy of people, and see if there is a way to find natural connections between maybe some of our grant projects and this particular kind of event. So I don't think there's been any follow-up on that. I certainly have not had a conversation directly with Christina Ball yet. We passed each other in the street the other day and had a brief conversation. She and I are going to be meeting in a couple of weeks. And then the goal number 3 was my suggestion, which the subcommittee seemed to endorse, that we try to build on the Young Artists and Authors Showcase momentum that we were able to establish this year, and create kind of a ad hoc committee of volunteers. I'm the person who will spearhead that starting this fall, of people in the community who are interested in generating even larger interest and involvement in that for next year's process, and perhaps even turning it into some kind of an interesting local event that could have, sort of sponsorship from the Sister City Commission. So that's another idea that we have, to continue to involve students, local students, in promoting our sister city relationships and getting more of the community not only knowledgeable about the fact that we have sister cities, but more engaged and more aware of what those relationships are like.
Great.
So that's my report on the education.
And thank you for bringing up those goals again. I think that that's really important for us to turn back to every time we do these, so that we can re-examine them and see what we're doing specifically related to those in particular. Unfortunately, my interconnection cut out in the midst of the finance meeting. So we have the notes to go off of because Michael and Damon were the folks in that one. And you addressed our question about the grantees requesting funds, Amanda. So it sounds like we have heard back from anyone who requested funds, and we're the fire department, so we're just thinking of the folks who were awardees in 2020.
Correct.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think we're on track. I think all of our projects from this year are, because of the recent Winneba trip, we're on track, and then we need to follow up with the new Wayway projects in terms of when the expenditures will hit. I think for last year's projects, the 2 that are still pending in terms of actually being implemented and involving international travel are the fire department to Winneba and the Poggio musical exchange. And those trips are planned for later in 2021. So I don't think, because of the reimbursement basis, those expenses will hit the books until later in the year.
got it. And I know Kina sent us, Michael, Damon, and I, an update on the budget, just the carryover balance from 2020, and then the total balance for now. But I believe that is excluding grants and stuff, and I don't think she included everyone on that. It was just me and Damon, so I can forward that to everyone to take a look at as well. But yeah, let's see. And Michael will hopefully be here for the next meeting for looking at the budget and sort of finalizing that as well, because I left before that part of the meeting ended. All right. Let's see. Let's see. All right. We're It's 5:30 now. Elizabeth, you're still with us.
I am. I have until 5:45.
Oh, well, we should be out of here by then, I hope.
Okay.
So last final order of business. As you know, I am leaving the club after this meeting. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with you all as most of you have started your journey with Sister Cities during the pandemic. So this has been weird, but great. And hopefully at some point this year, maybe September, there can be in-person events eventually. But with that in mind, I know Damon would prefer not to be sole chair of the commission. So I wanted to talk with you all and present the offer for the role of co-chair. And if anyone would like to nominate or nominate themselves for this role of co-chair to work alongside Damon, I can say from experience, it is wonderful working with Damon leading this commission. But if anyone in this virtual room has an interest in taking on this role, you could speak now.
So is there, the process needs to be fairly official, correct? Somebody needs to either be nominated or nominate themselves, and then the entire commission or a quorum needs to vote.
Exactly.
Which would probably mean we're not going to vote in, even if there is someone who nominates themselves today, we're not going to vote in a new co-chair at this meeting.
Well, we have a quorum, do we not? Well, actually, first, if no one nominates themselves or if no one shows an apparent interest, then it might need to wait until the next meeting, for sure. So that is the case, like, because we don't have everyone here. So that might be the case. So maybe just getting the feelers out now for if someone was interested in taking on this role and interested in nominating themselves for this particular job for the foreseeable future.
I just have a question that probably Max can answer. When we started tonight, we thought we would need a quorum of 7 because I assume that was based off a number of 14. But when we began, Max, you said, no, it's 11 and you have 6. So we've reached a quorum. So my question is that 11 from the current situation, who we actually have?
Correct.
With three spots that are unfilled at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, and then quorum is determined on on
Majority.
whatever the actual number is, not the eventual hoped for number of members.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm asking that because there are 6 of us here now, there are 5 not here. And that has a little bearing for me on our decision about a co-chair.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can pause this for now. Unfortunately, I am not on the commission after this point. So the process, like, I'm sure Damon can lead that process. I do know that he does not want to be the sole chair of the Cities Commission. So I think if at this point, because we don't have everybody here and there are a lot of folks who might want to share on this topic in particular, we could pause it for now. And certainly if anyone here is interested in taking on that role, let us know, and we can hold that vote for the next meeting with the understanding, like going into the meeting, that we'll be voting on this. I know that I included this topic on the agenda, but I also know that things are busy. So,
well, I can say that I feel like my plate is full. So I'm happy to continue to serve as secretary, at least through the end of this year. And as you know, that in combination with my Besançon rep position is, it's, I feel like I have, you know, enough, I feel like I have a pretty full plate.
Really understandable.
So I'm not going to nominate myself or ask anybody to put forward my name at this time.
Understandable.
So it seems like, you know, I don't really know what would be the best process, but it certainly seems like there needs to be, you know, perhaps what we'll put in the minutes, you know, that we'd like to actually nominate, have a nomination and vote on somebody at the July meeting, if at all possible, to prompt people, I think, to go ahead and reach out to Damon and talk about what that might mean, being a co-chair, or else to, you know, be open to hearing from him if he's interested in encouraging a particular commission member to consider it. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes, on my end.
I think we just lost Kate.
She was serious about this being her last meeting.
Seriously. Does anybody have any other sort of recommendations or any other thoughts about, I know this means we're kicking the can down the road, but I agree with you, Adrienne, with only half of us here. You know, it really, I don't feel comfortable nominating someone in absentia. And I'm not sure we've necessarily, you know, sort of had enough opportunity between meetings to explore, to be in a position, you know, to make a decision.
I think we could use a little bit more time. I know we've known about this, but nonetheless, we're 6 out of 11 here, which isn't much. And I think too, there might, I'm curious always if there's room for a little more creativity or flexibility in terms of this, these roles. You know, if the co-chair position might be changeable each year rather than every 3 years, or if I thought about that with the secretary job. I'm still considering possibly that I could step in, Elizabeth, when you stop, but I wonder if that too might be something that rotates each year. And then some of these things don't feel quite as burdensome. On the other hand, there are positive things to be said about stability and consistency.
Continuity,
right. So, but I think I would like a little more time for all of us to, you know, think through what it might look like. And then of course we have to find out if there are any restrictions or things that are or aren't allowed. But and I appreciate your thought about reaching out to Damon and, you know, getting his take on it. But certainly this should be something that all 11 of us ought to be thinking over for the next month in some capacity. I don't mean becoming the co-chair as much as I mean, how could we properly, you know, do our jobs here and make sure that it doesn't feel onerous to any one person.
right? Well, here's what I'm going to propose, or what I'm going to put in the minutes, and speak now if there are any objections. I'm just going to say that we had some discussion about the need to nominate, that Damon has requested a co-chair. There was brief discussion about the need to nominate someone for that position, but we all have to defer the nominating process until the July meeting. That sound reasonable? Okay.
I'm sorry, my internet cut out. for that, whatever you said.
Okay,
Have we decided to put off the,
yes.
okay, I figured. I'm so sorry.
And can I ask for one more on, I know we don't have other business on the agenda for today. I apologize that I didn't notice that, but could I ask for just a quick minute to ask for a follow-up on an item under other business?
Sure.
So at our last meeting, we did have, some good discussion about those spending guidelines, got clarity about when they were drafted and whether or not they'd actually ever been approved. And according to the minutes, two things that I wanted to ask for follow-up on, just to kind of know where we are. All of those present last month said that we would spend some time reviewing the guidelines and be prepared to have conversation about whether we thought that they were still relevant or additions or deletions. And I'm assuming that we're not in a position to have that conversation yet. Is that right? That's, maybe we should set a target to do that in an upcoming meeting so that it will prompt all of us to actually spend some time with the guidelines, especially given that now there might be a need to revisit or to, revisit the guidelines and also consider them in terms of their intersection with the grants process. So that was my one question. Can we put that on, should we put that officially on the agenda for July or August? Does anyone have a specific recommendation for sooner or later?
Just thinking of folks' schedules. Like I'm thinking of this meeting where a lot of our folks who are usually here are not currently
Right.
here, and summer vacations
Right.
coming up and all that. August might be a better day because that's a guarantee that schools will be back in and folks will be here. So perhaps making it sort of like a little reading assignment, like for the August agenda or for August for that meeting of, make that day a day to discuss those particular spending guidelines.
Okay. The second question was a follow-up, and maybe Max, maybe you can weigh in on this because neither Damon nor Michael is here. But it was also decided last month that Damon and Michael would agree to meet with the city attorney, Lisa Robertson or Robinson. I'm not quite sure how her name is spelled. It's spelled both ways in the Lisa Robertson. And I wondered if that meeting had actually been scheduled and taken place yet.
It has taken place, yes.
Okay, we just don't have a report back from it since neither of those two commissioners are in the meeting this month.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Elizabeth, can you say again what that meeting was in reference to?
Right, so this is from the minutes from the May meeting. Max had suggested that two commission members meet with the city attorney, Lisa Robertson, to kind of get some questions answered about spending guidelines and, to get, I assume that meant to let the city attorney weigh in on, whether or not items should be, I don't really know exactly what all that was about, but basically to meet with the city attorney with questions and to seek some input and guidance. And Damon and Michael agreed that they would that they would meet with the city attorney, and Max was going to set the meeting up. And so I was just asking if that meeting had taken place. And Max says that it has, but since neither Damon nor Michael is here tonight, I think that's why we don't have a report on it. Which lends, I think, more weight to the idea that we postpone having a commission-wide discussion about spending guidelines until the August meeting so that Damon and or Michael can report on whatever they learned from that meeting with the city attorney next month. Okay, that's just what I wanted clarification about.
Thanks, and those are both important topics. But yeah, I think putting off the spending, it's important to have everyone or as many people as possible here to discuss those things. So And summer can be a great time for all of us. So yeah. Well, thanks, Elizabeth, and thank you
Okay.
all. Stella, I'm assuming it's really super late where you are right now. So thank you for joining us despite that. That is very kind of you. So thank you for doing that. Yeah, I will chat with Dan.
I
Yes.
think, I think others would probably join me in thanking you for
Yes,
of
thank
the
you so
work.
much, Kate.
these many months and guiding the new people. There's a lot of newbies here, and there have been, and thank you for the leadership, the
Yeah. thank
organization,
you.
the ideas, all the stuff you've contributed.
Yes,
Here, here.
thank you, Kate.
Thanks for
you
taking
all.
it on, Kate, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. I still feel like a newbie myself, so I appreciate hearing that. But thank you all so much. It has been a treat to get to know you all a little bit over these past few months and year and a half that I've been with the, well, 2 years now I've been with the commission. So yeah, thank you all so much. And please don't, actually, I will update you all with my new email address too, because my work stuff will go away eventually. So, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you, I don't know, want to include me in any of this. I'm happy to stay in touch.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, are
Thank
you
you. Good
adjourning the
luck.
meeting?
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.